Above the clouds, a German pilot sights an approaching American fighter, its heavy silhouette unmistakable. He prepares for the precise, turning fight he has mastered, confident in his aircraft's agility. But the aerial combat he understood, the contest of turns and maneuvers, was about to cease to exist. By 1943, the air war over Europe had intensified significantly. American bombers, venturing deep into German territory, faced unrelenting interception. To shield these vital formations, the United States deployed various fighter aircraft, among them the P-47 Thunderbolt, and on paper it seemed a peculiar choice. It was one of the heaviest single-engine fighters of the conflict, large in its frame and less responsive in tight turns. German pilots flying nimble aircraft like the Messerschmitt Bf 109 and the Focke-Wulf Tu-190 had been meticulously trained to exploit such perceived weaknesses. Their doctrine emphasized that turning ability was paramount for survival, tight maneuvers provided control, and the pilot who could out-turn an opponent almost invariably emerged victorious. Therefore, when German pilots first encountered the P-47, their assumption was simple. If it turned, it would lose. This belief was entirely logical, rooted in decades of aerial combat experience. The question of aircraft capabilities often obscures the true nature of what transpired. German pilots did not falter due to a sudden decline in skill, nor did they become careless or incompetent. They lost because they were reacting to a combat situation that had fundamentally shifted. Traditional air combat doctrine revolved around mutual engagement. Two fighters would meet, turn, maneuver, and expend energy, until one made a critical error. But what happens when one side simply refuses to engage in such a contest? What unfolds when the enemy neither turns, nor chases, nor lingers? This was the unanswered question. Colonel Hubert Zemke, commander of the 56th Fighter Group, challenged conventional wisdom. He recognized that while the P-47's perceived weaknesses were apparent, its inherent strengths were being overlooked. Its considerable weight translated into immense momentum. Its powerful engine permitted sustained, high-speed dives. Its rugged construction allowed it to withstand stresses that lighter, more delicate fighters could not. Zemke did not view the P-47 as a poor dogfighter. Rather, it was an aircraft capable of dictating the terms of engagement, controlling precisely when a fight began and when it ended. Instead of training his pilots to engage more effectively in traditional turning dogfight, he instructed them to avoid such engagements entirely. This was no minor adjustment. It was a complete rejection of established air combat principles. Zemke's strategy involved positioning his P-47s high above German formation. Altitude in this context was not merely a location. It was stored energy. When a P-47 plunged downward, gravity accelerated it, rapidly increasing its speed and momentum. German fighters below had mere seconds, not minutes, to react. The attack was executed in a single, devastating pass. The P-47 would fire, climb back up to altitude, and reset for the next engagement. There was no turning, no circling, no prolonged pursuit. This tactic forced German pilots into an impossible series of decisions. They could turn, but that meant sacrificing precious energy. They could attempt to chase, risking overstressing their aircraft. Or they could do nothing, waiting for the next pass, leaving themselves vulnerable. Each option carried severe consequences. German pilots expected sustained resistance and sought skill-based aerial contests. Now they faced an enemy that simply disappeared. This was not a dogfight, and there was no second chance to correct a mistake. Inside the cockpit, confusion replaced ingrained instinct. Pilots could barely process what was happening. The moment of action quickly passed. After such an attack, the empty sky felt profoundly hostile. German pilots felt unsettling uncertainty. It surpassed the fear of defeat. Their opponent refused to play by any known rules. German aircraft were optimized for tight turning maneuvers. They were ill-suited for this new American approach. This involved vertical chases and high-speed dives. Chasing a diving P-47 meant irreversible altitude loss. This left them exposed to subsequent attack passes. Luftwaffe doctrine struggled to adapt quickly. It was crafted for individual dogfights. Allied air superiority firmly established itself before countermeasures were discussed. This new tactic did more than just destroy aircraft. It also deeply eroded confidence. American pilots knew they could disengage safely. German pilots could not force an engagement. This imbalance proved more impactful. It exceeded any numerical advantage. As a result, bombers survived longer. Escort tactics evolved further, and air control decisively shifted towards the Allies.